What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. I'm also going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I just wanted to say that SPY has this left shoulder ahead and then a clear right shoulder. But we haven't really lost the support yet around that 577 area. We're very close to it. If we lose this, there's going to be a lot more downside coming. I just want to give you guys a warning about that. Now, when it comes to other factors, though, there are some things coming out for next week that's going to cause a lot of volatility for the markets. So I'm going to talk about that first. Then I'll break down these charts. Just know today the market had a bloody red day. We saw Nvda, Aapl, Microsoft, Google, Amzn, everything in the red. Despite the fact that the market was at support when we closed on Wednesday, the data came out and the market still saw a negative reaction, and that continued to cause things to drop. Why is this? Because one thing that's worth mentioning is that the jobs numbers are showing that they're not too bad overall, but this is leading to some fears that the Federal Reserve could reverse course on lowering interest rates, and they could keep things essentially the same. This is very evident after Bowman from the Fed gave a speech saying that there are risks of inflation going back up, and even with the strong labor market, there's still that risk over there, and that's going to trump a lot of the potential upside that was coming to the markets. Because of that, so instead of getting upside after we got some decent job numbers, we got a rug pull instead. So just keep that in mind. So why is that? Unemployment was at 4.1%. This was below expectations. Non-farm payrolls were at 256,000 above expectations, so not bad. Some strength was showing in the labor markets, but the issue we're having is that, once again, there's fear about what the Fed is going to have to do as a result of this and how this may contribute to higher inflation. I also want to say that when you look at the Michigan Consumer Sentiment data, right now, the expectations are inflation is going to be at 3.3% above the 3% target. So we're expecting a slight increase in inflation now. And this is once again going to be another issue that could be affecting the broader markets. It also could have an effect on how the Fed is going to be reporting things. So just keep that in mind. On Tuesday, January 14th, we have the PPI report coming out. This is Producer Price Index, wholesale inflation. And then for Wednesday of next week, we have CPI data. Let's look for high volatility once that comes out. Besides that, there's nothing else too crazy coming out, at least in terms of our data from what I'm looking at. So just keep that in mind, at least for now. But wait for CPI next week. It's going to be a big catalyst. Then for the earnings coming out, we're starting off on a quiet end, but then things get very serious later into the week. As we approach next week, on the Wednesday, we have a Citi, JP Morgan Chase, BlackRock, and Wells Fargo announcing their earnings. And then on Thursday, we have Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and many others. So just keep that in mind, guys. We're expecting some high volatility with all of that coming out. Looking at SPY, there's a left shoulder ahead and then a right shoulder. Going into next week, we should see an attempt to rebound off this support because the last time we did hit 577 to 580, we did see some kind of bounce. Might be a small rebound at first, but then we could continue to fall. And if we end up losing 577, whether it's after CPI comes out or beforehand, expect a dump to about 575 and eventually this very, very big gap fill all the way down to 570. So that imbalance will drag us all the way down for the head and shoulders to pan out. It looks like it's going to most likely pan out as the market's looking weaker. We may start off with a small balance before we continue to dump, but overall, the bears have control. They have a much larger edge. Same setup on ES. We're actually breaking structure right here at 58.80. There's a left shoulder, there's a head, and then there's a right shoulder. This could continue to fall back down towards the lower 5800s. Just keep that in mind, guys, as we are continuing to fall. We have a double top right over here, and we're continuing to fall right here. We're going to be looking for 137 as our resistance, then 140, and we could be dipping all the way down to 133. If that fails us, we could be dumping down to 130. So this is once again forming a double top, and this could continue to fall back down to the low 130s. Overall, we're favoring a bit more downside. For Bitcoin, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We had a high up here, came down. We had a lower high, came down. We're just continuing to fall. However, despite the downside trend, we are trying to rebound, at least on the 4-hour, to push for 96,000. So I think this might try to push for 96,000. We'll see if we reject or not. So watch that very, very closely. That's going to be very key for how things end up moving. For Tesla, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs right here. We're looking at this resistance at 399. If that breaks, we're looking for essentially 405, then eventually 408. And if we lose support right here around 385, we're looking for a dip. I think that for the short term, Tesla's holding this support on the 4 hours. So if you look at this we had this very, very big support that was drawn out for many months ago, right? This blue trend line. And then this is going to be acting as our main support, at least for Tesla moving forward. So that is what is being held right now. So if you look at Tesla, we bounced off the support, we came down, we're trying to hold it, consolidate, but we did close above it right here. So this is a sign that there might be an attempt to rebound for 400 on Tesla. Could we reject off that and start dumping? Sure, it's always a possibility. But for now, I do think there's going to be an attempt to bounce early next week for that 400 target. We're barely holding support for now. We might just continue to ride this higher before we see another reaction. But for now, Tesla's showing a little bit of strength thanks to that. However, NQ is looking weaker. We're making lower highs right here. We got to see if we can hold 21,000. Otherwise, we could be dumping to about 20,800 or below. The QQQ is also on a downtrend. We have to see if we can hold above 512. Otherwise, we may continue to fall to 505 and eventually the low 500s. So keep that in mind. Apple's on a bit of a downtrend as well. We have to see if we could get back above 238. Otherwise, we favor 232 or below. And then we have a few more. We have the Russell 2000 IWM. We're on a bit of a downtrend. We're dumping because of the fact that there's still some weakness right here. We have 215 to be watching for, then 212. I'll be watching these levels very, very closely. I still think we could be dipping a little bit lower. On coin, we're range bound right here. It is trying to hold support just like how Bitcoin is. There might be a test of 264 next week, and we'll see if we reject off that, but look for a small bounce on this. Amazon's dipped quite a bit. We are seeing buyers trying to defend around this 216 support. We had resistance at 220 and came back down. So look for a push for the 218s, and we'll see if we reject and start dipping to 216 again. I'll be watching that very closely as we have a double top leg pattern. For Meta, we're also forming a nice range. We have this 636 resistance, and we have the support around 610. So look at this wick that's forming right here. We have this nice little wick here we're rejecting. So we're looking for 612 and 608 as our support. So we'll have to see how we end up reacting. Look for a small dip here and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For Microsoft, we're on a bit of a downturn, making lower highs right here. Look for this support right here around this 415 area. If that fails us, we're going to be dipping back down towards 411. So please keep that in mind. There is that risk of downside. Google has a wick right over here. It's on a bit of a downtrend, so we could be dipping towards 191.5, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. But there is that risk of downside. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Just know one thing. I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather. I'm going to probably take a break tomorrow. I won't be uploading a video tomorrow because of that. So I will most likely be back on Sunday. So if you don't see me upload a video tomorrow, don't panic at all. It's just me taking a small break. As far as the market goes, for now, we are looking a little bit more bearish, but SPY has not lost critical support yet. We haven't lost 577, the low that where we bounced last time. So we'll just have to see if that happens again or not. But anyways, that is it for this video. I'm going to keep this one short since it's Friday. And I'll see you guys again on Sunday for another upload. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a good weekend. Enjoy what life has to offer. Enjoy some football. And the playoffs are starting. And I just want to wish you all the best until I return. So thank you for listening. I'll see you guys on Sunday. And peace out.